So here we are again then, guys, back on another review on another Triumph. As I said in my first video, I actually thought I'd had pretty much every Triumph that was of any interest to me, apart from the ones I can't afford, like the 1050 RS, the 1200 RS, etc, etc. And lo and behold, this one just popped up. I think it was on Gumtree actually, or it could have been Facebook Marketplace, I forget now, to be honest. I'm hoping you've seen the initial review, the kind of first impressions that we did a couple of weeks back now. I would think I'll stick it in the top right corner as well, along with a few other kind of Triumph videos throughout this one, so you can check out what else is on the channel. So today, as usual, we're just going to go out for a quick bimble on this beautiful Triumph and see how we get on with her. I mean, I'm expecting it to be very much the same as the T595, the Daytona we did a review on already. Although saying that, I was looking through the specs just now, and it's a bit of a weird one, because I think I put the specs up already on the Daytona. That was, I believe, getting close to 160 mile an hour top end and 130 horsepower, I think, something along those lines. Again, go back to that video and check that out for yourselves. But yeah, no, it's not actually, because as I said, the Daytona was getting close to 160 miles an hour, 130 horsepower, if my memory serves me, and this one isn't quite there with that. I don't know if that's something to do with the tuning between the two bikes, as in the Daytona and this, because from my mind, I mean, even if you look at the dash there, it's exactly the same dash. They both use a 955 engine. So you'd think that they would be identical figures, but they're not. The Daytona is considerably faster. I think it has 20 horsepower more, and it's got 20 miles per hour top end more than the speed triple, as it were, which I find a bit odd. I can only assume that's something to do with the tuning. As always, it rides beautifully, incredibly planted, more than enough power. We're actually out on an incredibly cold day today. It's around about 6-7 degrees, which is bizarre because last week it was around about 17-18 degrees. So that was a much more enjoyable ride. The last ride we did on the Aprilia Tuono, the V4. I'm hoping you've seen that video as well, or that series of videos. That was an incredible machine. But it just goes to show, I mean, that was £6,500, that V4. And this was not, believe it or not. I mean, we're going to get off in a minute and we're going to have a little look around the bike. Excuse me, I'm sniffling because my nose is running. We're going to get off and have a little look around the bike and give you some thoughts on, you know, the bike, the value for money, that kind of stuff. God, that wind is really biting today. I hate going on about it, but my God, I can see now why I don't ride in the winters anymore. It's just no bloody fun. When I was sat in the garden, it didn't seem quite as cold as it does now. I'm suddenly starting to think this wasn't such a great idea. As you can see, you can have an incredible amount of fun with the power this bike has. I can't remember the exact figures. I think it was like 108 horsepower compared to the Daytona, the T595, which was 130, I think, 129. And as I said, this is about 20 miles an hour down on top end as well, which I can only assume that's something to do with the mapping. I actually thought this was a 1990s bike, like a 1999 or something like that, but the logbook arrived today, and it turns out it's a 2001, so a bit of a bonus. Well, just like every other Triumph I've owned pretty much, it just rides beautifully, incredibly well planted on the road, tips into the corners really, really easily. I mean, anybody could ride this bike. I would highly recommend this as a second bike, as in if you just passed your test and you wanted to kind of just upgrade to something else. This is such a good option for that, because they're cheap as chips, they're quick enough and easy to maintain, very reliable, and it's British. What more can you want? Alright, so we're going to jump off now and see if we can scare some sheep down here somewhere. Maybe we'll go down the bottom actually, because I don't want to scare all these sheep. So let's just pull in down here and then we'll get the camera out and we'll have a little look around this bike, and I'll show you what I've done and all the things I've gotten rid of, as it were, that were on the bike when we first looked at it. So we'll get the camera out, as I said, and we'll have another little look around this beauty. So as you can see, since the first video, the first impressions, we have changed this exhaust to this Delkovich, which I had hanging around in the house for the last 3 or 4 years, I think. And we got rid of that stupid light at the front, just down in there as well, the green light, you'll remember. And I also got rid of that USB thingy over here. Apart from that, I really haven't done much else, apart from put another bar end mirror on, which it had anyway. I'm not quite sure why they took that off. But there she stands now. I haven't changed the indicators yet either, because I am going to just see if I can tidy those up, make them look a bit better. It's pointless me actually putting my own stuff on here, as in putting on an expensive pair of those kind of Audi-esque sweeping indicators, when this one's got indicators and they work fine. So I'm not going to waste my money with that. All I've done, I've not even washed it, to be honest. Since the first video, I've not even washed it. I've run a rag over it, that's about it. It was a bit of a bitch fitting that exhaust, and I had to buy a link pipe from eBay as well. But it's on there, and I think you'll agree it does look a lot better, because that not a Kropovich was just a bit of a joke, really. But so far, I think this is an amazing bike, and as I said, I think this is such a good bike to kind of level up on if you've just passed your test and you're thinking of getting something a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. Sheep everywhere, look, you can hear them. A little bit quicker, a little bit more powerful, but you don't want to go over the top, you don't have a huge amount of money. You can pick up one of these sub 2,000. I mean, I'll let you into a secret. I paid £1,500 for this bike. I know, 1,500 quid. It's done 28,000 miles. It looks just sublimely beautiful in this blue with the white wheels. And I paid £150 to have it delivered down by my usual courier firm. So £1,650 to my door for this absolute stunning bike. Sorry about that, guys. We had to cut them out because they make a lot of bloody noise on that cattle grid over there. As I said, 1,500 quid, so 150 quid on top, £1,650 to my door. MOT'd until I think it's either November or December. One advisory for the rear wheel bearing, I think. And I'm so tempted to keep this because of the money in it. You know, it's £1,650. I think I'm going to put this up at a price that I don't mind keeping hold of it, if that makes sense. I'm going to put it up for $22.50 because I think it's bloody worth it. And if nobody buys it, I'll just keep it. And if somebody does buy it, then I'll take the money, because at the end of the day, I do like to move my bikes around a little bit, and it'll give me a little bit more kind of profit to buy something else. I'm looking at another GSX 1400, so you know, it'll give me a chance to get back into that, hopefully and possibly. But that's going to be it really for this one. Just goes to show what you can buy. 1,650 quid to my door, and that is just stunning value, I think you'll agree. And this colour, I think, is probably the best colour for this bike. I'm slightly confused about the power, but I am going to look into that. If you've got any comments about that, i.e., you know, why this is down on power compared to the Daytona, please drop that in the comments, because I'd be really, really interested to know why that is, because it is a 955 engine at the end of the day. So where's it lost 20 horsepower? Must be the mapping. Anyway, as I said, drop that into the comments if you would, and if you haven't subscribed, consider doing that. Give the video a thumbs up and a like and a share, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to jump back on. We're going to head back home because it's bloody freezing, but this is going to be the last video on this beautiful Daytona, I get confused. This beautiful Speed Triple 955i T509, which is the brother to the T595 we've already done. So check out that video. Let's jump back on, and hopefully we'll make another video on the way home. I'm starting to think that standing next to this cattle grid as all these cars go by was not a great idea. As I said, we're going to jump back on now and give us a little ride back and our final thoughts. If that doesn't happen for whatever reason, then I'll just carry on chatting away here, but otherwise let's jump on. So what are the final thoughts on this stunning Triumph Speed Triple 955i T509 then? I love it. I mean, you know me, I'm a bloody Triumph fanboy through and through. I do love my Triumphs, and I really do love these 955 engines as much as I like the 1050s. There's not one that I prefer, if I'm honest. I think they're both stunning engines, and I've ridden a lot of bikes with either or both engines, if that makes sense, including STs and Daytonas and what else have we done? Speed Triples. And as usual, one of the things I like so much about these Triumphs is the brakes. I mean, you know, it's an old bike, it's 21 years old, and yet the brakes on here are actually on par, if not slightly better, than the V4 Aprilia Tuono brakes. It does have braided lines though. I mean, that's a huge kind of upgrade I think you should do when you get a bike, is get some braided lines on it. It just changes everything, and it's not expensive, you know, it's like sub 100 quid, I'm sure. I've never actually done it, but I've watched some videos, and it doesn't seem too overly vexing and taxing on the brain. So as I said, I think that's a mod that you should all do on a certain bike. Anything over, you know, a certain cc that's going to be speeding you down the road, just get yourself some braided lines. Even if you have to pay somebody to do it, it's such a worthy mod. It adds an incredible amount to your riding pleasure. And don't forget, this is a 1500 quid bike. I mean, it's just stunning to me what you can get for your 1500 quid. It's just ludicrous, especially when you consider that Aprilia Tuono was 6.5 grand. Is it 5 grand more exciting than this bike? If I'm honest, no, not really. Well, we consider you could buy 5 of these for that Aprilia. Yeah, it depends on your budget, of course it does, you know, how much fun you want to have, how old you are, how much experience you've got. Well, I really enjoyed owning that V4, and it was probably the most exciting and scary bike I've ever had. But 6.5 grand for the amount of riding I do is just too much. Not when you can buy this for 1500 quid, have an incredible amount of fun. And, you know, if it goes wrong, it's not the end of the world, you know. If an Aprilia Tuono V4 goes wrong, you're in a world of pain. I actually even like the dash on here. I'm hoping you guys can see that, and I've got it set up. I actually even like that, the white dials, you know, the very analog look to them. But as you can see from its age, 22 years old, and that rev counter, the red part of it's actually faded to pink. What's it like then compared to something like the 1050 Speed Triple? Well, they are different animals at the end of the day, completely different engines, redesigned from the ground up really in that respect. I think the turn-in on the 1050 is much sharper than it is on these old 955s, but that's expected, of course. But as I've said, I don't mind either. I think they're both incredible bikes, the 1050 Speed Triples and the 955s. What I like about these triple engines is the way that you can be going uphill in 4th gear and just pull back the throttle. Just like that, and you're gone. You know, there's no messing about. But I would like to, I keep going on about it, I'd like to see how you can get that 130 horsepower in this engine, considering it is the same engine, unless I'm completely mistaken, it's the same engine as the Daytona, so it must be able to be done. But that's going to be it for this one. Another one that's come to the stable and is probably going to go. As I said, you know, I'm going to put it up at a price that I think it's worth getting rid of in that respect. In other words, I'm going to put it up at more than it's actually probably worth for a comparable bike. And if somebody wants to pay me that for it and I can make a nice few quid out of it, then I'll probably take it and put that towards another bike. But I'm not going to give this one away. I'm getting a bit tired of giving away bikes, if that makes sense. You know, you buy it for a decent price and then you sell it too cheap. I mean, I keep doing that. And as I said, this is way too nice to give away. Way too nice. Especially now it's April the 2nd, I think. So, you know, spring is here. Doesn't bloody feel like it because I'm freezing, but spring is here. So the summer season is starting. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. We're well over 7,000 subs now, which I find mind-blowing, quite frankly. And if you could give the video a thumbs up and share, all that kind of good stuff as well. Don't forget Instagram as well. We've got an Instagram page. The links are in the description. And we've also got a Facebook page if you want to see some kind of sneak previews of what we're up to. Because often what I do is when I buy a new bike or a car, I'll stick it onto Instagram or Facebook first to give those guys there, as in you guys, a chance to see what's happening in real time almost. And then we'll do a review about it, you know, in weeks to come. So if you want a heads up on what's happening, consider following me on Instagram and checking out the Facebook page as well, because you will get some very early sneak peeks on what's going on the channel in my life with my bike. But that is it for this one, guys. As I said, if you would consider subscribing, I'd really appreciate that. It takes you a second to press that subscribe button, and it means the world to me because, you know, we're climbing, but I'd like to see some more of you guys join in our crew, as it were. And like and share as well, that's great. And don't forget the Instagram and Facebook pages. They're relatively new, but they're gaining some following as well. Alright guys, you take care, and we'll have another video for you in a week or two. Alright, thanks for watching. I really hope it helps, and just goes to show what you can buy for 1,500 quid. Alright, take care guys, thanks for watching.